Hi, my name is Sadie McLaughlin, and thank you for coming to my artist presentation. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but I moved to Florida when I was pretty young, and I grew up in Cocoa Beach. And I would like to say that I started making art at a pretty young age, nothing serious, but it was definitely a big hobby of mine. And then when I got into college, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, and then I found the painting, drawing, printmaking major, and I stuck with it, and I really enjoyed it. Some of my non-art inspirations are my relationships, my emotions, music, nature and travel, personal experiences. I really pull a lot of inspiration from my past and my childhood and things like that. Some inspirations I have in contemporary art for kind of more so my recent work has been Tracy Emin, Latoya Ruby, Fraser, and Lynn Davison. I wanted to get into Tracy Emin a little bit. She's an artist that I look towards a lot, based out of London. She inspires me both conceptually and technically, and I really love the way that she uses the body and herself. She contributes to large conversations about transparency and the affects of trauma. Um, the exhibition Fortnight of Tears, she uses herself as the major theme of the exhibition. The themes in the exhibition directly reflect her own emotions, the loss of her parents, her self respect, the female experience, spiritualism, and sexuality. I originally looked towards her because of her, like I said, transparency and the way she's able to translate her personal life into these public spaces while contributing to such large conversations. But I recently really admire the way that she's like taking control of her own narrative and her self image. And how she's unpacking her experiences in her work. This exhibition specifically, I want to talk about how it reflects her abilities to cross disciplines, and she works in such a wide variety of mediums. She's really not limited to one. She uses sculpture, painting, photography, installation, film, and neon text just in this exhibition alone. So, some of the themes that I talk about are the body and figure. I do a lot of self portraiture because of, like, I want to talk about identity. I talk about childhood a lot, nostalgia, memories, mental health, and then I started to get into talking about anxiety as affect and the time codes of trauma. The past year or so, I really started to get into self portraiture. This was a photo series where I put myself in the front of the camera, and I think that like reveal of the face just creates a lot of um, tension with your audience, and is a really accessible way to be transparent. And this is where that kind of started. I didn't finish this photo series, but it got me thinking. So currently, I am working on paintings, but my paintings were inspired by this photo series that I did last summer, which was called 1 a.m. It was a digital photo series for my art and feminism course. This photo series was about anxiety and trauma, and the concept has developed a little bit, but I wanted to show where it came from. My process is mostly I just start with an idea, a memory, or emotion that I want to convey, and then I think about how do I want to represent this? How am I going to portray this concept with objects, places, people, application of paint? I pull references from usually my own photographs, or I take new ones, and then I build my substrates and I start. So, I did a series of large scale oil paintings, and the series is called Gossamer. Um, in my most recent artist statement, I talk about how I perceive life in these fragments, and I am thinking about the way that life is always changing and seems to be constantly redefined by the experiences and people and relationships that I cycle through. I have associations with each fragment of my life, and I like to think that these paintings represent what it feels like to be transitioning between the fragments or my different lives. I do consider these self-portraits. So I think that I am kind of constantly metamorphosizing into myself during these transitions that are full of healing, clarity, change, and a rebirth. Um, each time that I feel like one of these chapters closes, I lose parts of myself and I'm shedding layers, and I'm also building layers, but there are some layers that can't really be shed, and I think they stay with us, and this is where my series title, Gossamer, comes into play a little bit. So, Gossamer can be defined to refer to something that's very light, thin, or fine. Um, but I like to think of the veiling in my paintings as these visually super fine layers of ourselves and our past that sit on the surface of our skin, but the weight of them is not very calculated, and I want my audience to look at these paintings and think, wow, I didn't know like a sheet could look so heavy, and I think these layers can be really heavy. Um, During the emerging of our new self, we eventually achieve some kind of tranquility and a more idealized version of ourself. And this is where I got my title for my piece, Imago, which refers to like a fully developed stage of an insect. For example, the butterfly after metamorphosizes. Um, but it also is referencing there is imago therapy, which is a form of therapy which focuses on relational counseling that transforms a conflict into an opportunity to grow and heal. So this painting represents the imago, the like tranquility of the transition that I experienced. Why paint as a medium? I had seen this project go through like a lot of different mediums. First, it was the action of me like submerging myself, and then it was the photos, which are very two-dimensional, and then I printed the photos, and then now I started painting it. And through each medium, this project has really developed and the concepts have developed, and I feel like painting has really stretched out this ephemeral emotion and allowed me to live through it and like re-experience it, and then that helps me like build resistance, and it really helped me formulate my concept by how slowed down it was. This is my bibliography, and thank you for coming to my presentation.